Hey friends, I'm Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Friday for motor testing time. Hi. We are going to take a look at Ray Noland's newest FPV guide, episode 3, tonight. Talk about that a little bit. We are going to flight test a bunch of different combos and motors. I've got the 75mm freestyle build here that we finished up Wednesday, and it's currently on the iGao 0802 27,000 kV motors. I've got a frame here with the Flywoo 1002 23,500 kV motors, which are the highest kV 1002s that there are. So we're gonna see how it does on either or. I'm not super happy with it on these 802 27,000s. This might be as good as this is going to get, in fairness. Every time that I've done this comparison, 0802 27,000s versus 1002 23,500s, these guys have better power to weight ratio and just feel better in the air. Lighter motors, higher kV, bi-blade propellers. But this is the first time that no, it's not. I tried these both on the carbon fiber frame, and that was the deal. But maybe something's different in a plastic frame. So we're gonna give that a shot to further sort of refine this walk snail 75mm freestyle rig. I have some flight footage flying this outside in the Meteor 75 airframe. I've also got some flight footage chasing drift cars. The opening little bit of footage there was last night at Torque Motorsport, the place that I chased the RC drift cars around. And what you were watching was flight footage from the 65mm carbon fiber framed build with no ducts in view. But I also put 4 batteries through this at the end of the night, so we can compare them, and you can see the massive difference between all-up weight, basically. The all-up weight is the main thing that differentiates these two rigs. This flies an awful lot better than it did in the carbon fiber frame, so I'm really happy that I got it out of there. It's much lighter, it's got much more power, much more efficiency, and the motors are going to be a lot more durable hooked up to a plastic frame where it's actually going to give when we smack into things, versus the carbon fiber frames that hold the motors solid, and then every time you bash into something, it just dumps all of that energy into the motor shaft, and the motor shafts on these little tiny whoop motors are very, very thin. So they don't last very long when they have all of that abuse coming their way. So yeah, that's what we're doing with the 75mm walk snail freestyle rig tonight. We're also going to mess around with, we're going to fly a couple of batteries on the best version of the ultimate freestyle tiny whoop that I've got, which is in the Cockroach 65 V3 frame with the 0702 32,000 kV motors. This is our benchmark, right? And then we're going to compare it to the 0603 30,000 kV prototype motors that Jesse from Tiny Whoop very kindly had made and sent me. On GemFan biblades here, these are the beat up motors, and then he sent me a fresh set here, which I have paired with the new HQ ultralight tri-blades. I'm gonna do an entire live stream about these tri-blades, but for right now, yeah, I want to show you the difference between beat up motors, although I think I realized last stream that these aren't nearly as beat up as I thought. Beat up motors versus fresh motors, but also low pitch biblades versus high pitch tri-blades. After Wednesday's stream, I put a set of these HQ ultralight props on the rig with the 802EX 33,000 kV motors, and it was crazy. It was the AIO actually started to desync. It was asking so much of the battery and the FETs and whatnot. So yeah, these props are very pitchy, and they're tri-blades. So they really don't. I don't think they really need 30. Also, it had so much power that it was just impossible to control. So yeah, these propellers. So these 603s are 30,000 kV, and I think 30,000 kV is a really nice match for freestyle for these pitchy tri-blades. But I really also do like them on the GemFan biblades. So this will be a really cool comparison. So yeah, that's our 4 motors for the night. 702s, 603 in order of stator volume. 702 smallest, 32,000 kV. 603 a little bit bigger, 30,000 kV. 802 27,000 on the bigger propellers, slightly more stator volume. 1002 obviously significantly more stator volume. I've run these 1002s on biblades before. It's just not enough propeller. What was I going to say? The kV is too low. 23,500 kV is just not enough for the 1.6 inch biblades to make really good power. I do have a Meteor 75 Pro frame coming, and I have had a couple sets of the bigger biblades here. What are they, 45mm? Yeah, the 45mm biblades here. So, yeah, if I can't find a motor and prop combo, I guess I should also try the GemFan tri-blades on these 802s. But the problem with the GemFan, the problem with these 802s on a 75mm rig is they really do feel like with the biblades that they're perfectly matched, and there's really just not there's not enough stator volume for anything more than a 1.6-inch bi-blade to get that really snappy performance. And it already doesn't have the response time that I'm sort of wanting. So putting tri-blades would just make that even worse. Like, I'm curious to do it, but I already know what's going to happen, so I don't necessarily want to waste the time on it. But yeah, if I can't get this thing where I'm happy with it, basically, if I'm not happy with it on these 1002 23,500s tonight, it's going to go directly into the Pro frame, and we're going to try these bigger propellers. I did, like I said, I did fly it outside, and I'll play some flight footage of that. And then once I do this frame swap, I'm going to fly it outside on these 1002s. So on Sunday's stream, you can look at what it's like out in front of the house with big trees and the roof and stuff like that on each different motor. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that great. It's awful scraggly out though, so it's hard to really like go bananas. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. I don't know. The whole tiny whoop outside thing, I still don't necessarily understand or recommend or whatever. I think if you're unless you have a lot of really small gaps that you're looking to shoot, like if you're trying to weave in and out of tree branches, I totally get it. The guards are going to allow you to bump off of stuff without stalling the motors out. So I do understand that, but you'll see the flying that I typically do outside the house is, you know, like you're shooting the big gaps between the trees and you're like throwing it up over the roof and you're flying it down the driveway and you're putting it into these gaps that are just gigantic and you really don't need. So one of the main things that the ducts do in terms of flight performance is they slow the rig down quite a bit. And so, and that's cool. Like, I do dig that. But then, if you're, like, flying it up the driveway, like, you gotta bury the nose to get it down the driveway with any kind of excitement. A toothpick is gonna really just eat that sort of a scenario up a lot better. So yeah, I don't know. No wrong answers, right? Like fly whatever the hell you want. But there's obviously some magic to big propeller whoops and flying them outside, and I can't figure that magic out quite yet, and I'm intrigued, and so I'm gonna keep kind of farting around with it until I sort of figure that out, or just give up and say, oh, you guys are mad and have lost your minds. Because, like, the 75mm rigs, you can't really fly inside. So, like, if, scraggle is small limbs. Yeah, little tiny branches. Little scraggly branches. Right, that's where the name kind of comes from. If you're building something to thrash jungle gyms, and then, you know, you're just kind of ripping it around outside the house and whatnot, I get it. That I'm super into. You know, tune it in front of the house, rip it around. But like for proper like front of the house rips, you owe it to yourself to build like a 2S toothpick. It's just, you just get this like crazy power to weight ratio, and you get all of the benefits of not having ducts, right? Like all of the flight performance that you get from 5-inch and 3-inch rigs. All of a sudden is available in something that's like super quiet, super safe, and not all that expensive. And with how light they are, they're actually pretty durable. I guess you could argue that it's never going to be as durable as a tiny whoop, but I mean, think of it this way, right? Like right now, when it's freezing ass cold, tiny whoops are going to be a nightmare outside. The plastic frames are going to be brittle, and they're going to break all over the damn place. So a carbon fiber toothpick, the canopy is going to be a problem. You're probably going to be breaking canopies. But breaking a tiny whoop frame is super annoying because you have to pull all the motors off and pull the stack out. So in the cold, I would much rather be flying a toothpick around, so that, yeah, the frame wasn't breaking. Carbon fiber doesn't really care about the cold. So yeah, there's that, which is interesting. So yeah, that's sort of the plan for tonight, my friends. Also, somebody sent me a message. I forget who it was. I answered a shitload of messages today. But somebody sent me a really good message and said, "Hey man, I know you say tuning is really simple on the tiny whoops. I just built an ultimate freestyle tiny whoop, and I bought a HappyModel, the HappyModel ELRS F4 2G4." And it comes with a whole bunch of tuning. It comes with the sliders moved all over the place. Should I just default those out to 1.0 or should I leave them? What's the deal? And it struck me that like I always just grab those sliders and start moving around to the positions that I like them in. And then I tell you guys like, hey, just fly a stock tune. Stock tunes are great. So yeah, it's a fucking great question. So this is a brand new HappyModel AIO. We're going to hook it up to Betaflight at some point tonight and take a look at those sliders. And I want to kind of talk about why I think those sliders are where they are. And I'm going to show you what you should do with those sliders to get your flight footage looking more like mine, in that a little bit more cinematic, admittedly a little bit more latency, but a little more stick smoothing, and better prop wash handling and washout handling and all that shit. So yeah, really, really good question that totally bears 10 minutes of attention here, because yeah, I mean, how many people have bought this on my recommendation and then they get it and it's got the sliders all over the damn place? I can't believe I just didn't yeah. I just never thought to say like, hey guys, here's where the sliders are. I've always just like started grabbing the sliders and whopping them around, which I'm assuming like you guys have seen me do and you maybe mimic, but yeah, there are some lessons to be learned in there, and there's some really good info within those sliders. So that's the plan for tonight. What do you think? What do you guys think? Hey, I still have, courtesy of Frank Nicholas, a QAVS split top plate. So if you've got a QAVS split top plate build and you're worried about never being able to find the split top plate again because it's no longer made, message me, and yeah, I have the entire frame. So if anybody has one of these builds, and I mean, if you have one of these built and you're just waiting for the split top plate to break so that you can switch to a different frame like the Glide or something like that, that's not a terrible idea. But like if you're hell-bent on keeping a QAVS split top plate build together forever, yeah, you can't get these anymore. So this is gold for you. Hit me up and we'll work something out. I also have a set of the 1.5 millimeter motor shaft 0802 25,000 kV motors available. They have like one battery on them, so they are absolutely fresh. I kind of want to get what they sell for them, since they are kind of brand new. And there's even an extra motor in here. The extra motor has a stripped out stator, but the bell is totally fine. So what I might do is pull the bell off. Shit, I mixed them all together. Oh, no. I know which one's which. Yeah, this one. Yeah, I put some red marker on the... stator to designate that the stator is bad. I mean, and the stator is stripped out. So, like, if you try to mount it, it ain't gonna mount. So I guess it's kind of obvious. But, yeah, it serves as an extra bell. So I guess I'll leave it together. I was gonna pull the bell off and throw the stator away, but... who knows? Maybe you could rethread this. Nah, you won't be able to. I tried. Yeah, the stator is worthless. I'm going to pop the C-clip off and get rid of the stator, because it's just whoever that buys this is going to forget that, and then they're going to try to mount it up one day, and it's going to be a fucking nightmare. So, yeah. Let me kick this... let me pop this bell off. For anybody wondering how to do this, you need a pair of, like, kind of smooth, really fine-tipped pliers here, or what I find works best. And you're going to kind of go at an angle. It helps to have some magnification when you're doing this, but you're going to start, and yeah, you know what? I'm going to actually need the nerd goggles if I'm going to be able to do this. So I'm not going to be able to control whether or not this stays in focus or not. So, fair warning. Could go out of focus. There we go. All right, so you're going to start by just getting the C-clip kind of started. Did you see that? And now you see the gap that I've created on the top of the C-clip here? So the first thing to do is to put one pair of the pliers on this part of the motor shaft here, and then the other part of the pliers on the little ears of the C-clip, and you just push it forward a little bit to get it started. I'm going to do it one more time. See, now that's fully seated. So the first thing to do is just get it started. You go here, and you go here, and that's it. Just that tiny little bit to get it started. And now you're going to put, at this point, you should put it in a plastic bag, but what I do is I just put my finger over it, and then you're going to kind of come in here and push it the rest of the way off, and your finger just keeps it from firing off into Never Never Land. So keep your finger here, and then like it's already kind of pre-tensioned, so it doesn't take much to push it off at this point. But in this case, it popped back on actually. So let's do it again. Push it off a little bit, and then what you can do is kind of grab it up here. And there's still a chance that you'll send it to outer space. Oh no, it's not. All right, and then you just have to keep, and there it is. And now it's off. But yeah, just keep something on top of it to keep it from bouncing off. C-clips are sometimes called Jesus clips because when you try to remove them, they fire off into outer space, and then you go, Jesus! So yeah, Jesus clips, bro. And then you've got a little brass washer here you want to very carefully remove because you have to save this. So just grab it with your really fine-tipped tweezers and struggle for a while, and eventually you'll get it. Save that. And then there's also a little Teflon washer here. You want to save that as well. Just kind of dig under there and then grab it. And that's it. It's Teflon and then brass because this is a metal bushing here. Come on, focus, you jackass. This is a metal bushing, and so you don't want that metal washer rubbing against the metal bushing. Really? All right, well, I've already shown you everything there is to show you. The metal washer stuck to my finger there. And yeah, now you can separate the bell from the stator. And now on the top here, there's sort of the same scenario, but very strangely, more often than not, they have the Teflon washer up on top. Yeah, see, they have it here. I don't understand why they do that in the bell. In the inside of the bell, they do it the other way around. So the brass washer is rubbing against the brass bushing, which is kind of strange. I've never really understood that. I would like to think that there's a reason for that, but I bet you there's not. So yeah, this stator is no good. I've marked it with red. I am going to include it because it does have the little wire. But and then something that you can do here is to put these all back on, right? So take the Teflon washer, that goes on first. Take the little brass bastard, that goes on next. And then push those guys down a little bit. And take your C-clip. And now this is definitely where you'll lose the C-clip because you've got like nothing hanging onto it. So this is stupid to put this C-clip on here, but let's do it anyway. What I find sometimes is that if you grab the C-clip, the trick to doing this is to squeeze really tight because the C-clip is going to want to escape. So grab it with your little needle nose jobbers. Drop it a couple times. And just squeeze hard as hell when you put this thing on. Get it started there, and then now's when we're going to lose it. Yeah, we're going to lose it for sure. It's hard to get back on. It takes a actual amount of force. I'm not going to put it back on because I'll either lose it putting it back on, or whoever buys these will lose it when they're trying to get it back off. I'm going to get a little tiny plastic bag and put it in there. And that way it will exist. It will continue to exist here on Earth. And it won't enter the great beyond. So there you go. I didn't expect to show you guys that, but there it is. Okay, so C-clip, and I am going to leave the little, well, no, let's take this off. I'm going to put the washer, the brass and Teflon washers in this little baggie as well. Yeah, message me. All my contact info is over on CiottiFPV.com. Message me if you're interested in these motors. It's 4 freshies. I didn't even really crash these. These were only really on the freestyle rig for like 1 battery, I think. So yeah, these are absolutely fresh. Cool. What else is happening? I do have 2 more of these NewBeeDrone polycarbonate, the stiffer but 1 gram heavier Cockroach 65 V3 frames available. So if you want one, let me know. These are the slightly heavier ones, but they're really cool. I've got a clear one, which is that like super translucent, really cool looking plastic. And then I've got a black one, which is like smoke crotch black. It's not like opaque black. It's kind of see-through a little bit. So yeah, if you want a slightly stiffer Cockroach 65 V3 frame, message me, and one or both are all yours. In the chat, what's happening? Troy Prulog was first, Demo FPV was next, Northern Tier, Frank Nicholas, Brandon's Baked Beans, Walter, Scott, Freelojo, Prop Junkie, Douglas Otwell, JP Spin, Kevin Sumner, Gusto, Metal Dirt Skin, Hockey Rounds, June Logo, Derailed. Max is here, Frank Nicholas, Daniel 1964, Safe Zone, Borked Bits, Atomic Rebel, Off Axis FPV, another trucking FPV channel, Pasu, I believe, Chick with Stick, rather. RC Roscoe, Matt Norton, King FPV. I think I got everybody. Unluckiest Number as well. Sergio and Volusia. Volusia, I haven't seen you in a while. How you been? What's new? Yeah, I've got a bunch of batteries charged. Let's dive into HappyModel first, though. Let's get a wiggle on. You ever hear somebody say "get a wiggle on"? It's like a saying. It's weird. I think it's a British thing. Let's take a look at what the hell is going on with the PIDs when you buy a fresh Mobula 6 ELRS. For anybody that's waiting for the new Mobula 6, like the 2024 Mobula 6, I'm going to caution you and tell you that, and explain that HappyModel has really only made this one AIO that's like really, really good. And that new Mobula 6 is coming with a different AIO. So, I also don't know about the camera and canopy. The camera looks significantly bigger, and which is going to make it heavier. And the canopy looks significantly more 3D printed, which is going to make it a lot less durable. So, if I were you guys, I would buy a Mobula 6 ELRS right now, because the 2024 one is probably coming really soon. I'll bet you that the reason we're having a hard time finding the Mobula 6 ELRSs in stock is because that new one is coming. So yeah, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the new one is better. But yeah, this AIO is magic. This is the best tiny whoop AIO I've ever found by a long margin. So I would snag one or two of these right now if I were you. Betaflight, let's do it. Matt Anderson says, I think get a wiggle on is a British saying. Yeah, it is. Say it all the time on Bake Off. I forget Bake Off is a British show. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. If you do that, it'll light up an orange for me, and I'll know you're talking to me. Like that. If you don't type CiottiFPV, I won't read your comment. Denzel the Terrible says, howdy. Matt Anderson says, greetings. He's still at work. Matt Anderson also says, would those 45mm props be a good match for an 0803? They would indeed. 803 is an awesome motor size. But it is a motor size that there are no good KVs. Like, there are no 803s with a high enough KV to make them like viable. And every single 803 has a 1mm shaft, which is also just unrealistic. So yeah, an 803 at like 30,000 kV with a 1.5mm motor shaft would be pretty dope. But we don't have that quite yet. We will someday. 803 is a phenomenal motor size. It's a shame that there aren't more of them. Frank Nicholas says, it's no more scraggly in the winter than other seasons. You just can't see the limbs because there are no leaves on them. Yeah, it's very true. Matt Richardson says, if I had to pick just one class of quad to fly out strictly for fun forever, toothpicks would win. Yeah, they are really so nice for just railing around the house. Safe Zone says, evening. Atomic Rebel says, can you give them a quick explanation of PIDs versus rates? And do I adjust them for an ultimate freestyle build? We're about to dive into exactly that. But the main question there is a fantastic one. PIDs versus rates. Stop thinking of PIDs. PID doesn't mean anything to anyone unless you're an engineer. All the PID loop is error correction. If you throw out the word PID and start using the words error correction, everything will be so much more clear. The PIDs are an error correction loop. So when error is introduced to the quad, a breeze comes, you hit a branch, the error correction tries to correct that error and put it back. So you're flying along like this, the wind hits it like that, the error correction pushes it back. It's trying to get it exactly to the way it was. And it does that either 4,000 or 8,000 times a second. That's what your PID loop frequency is. The 4K, that's 4,000 cycles a second. 8K, 8,000 cycles a second. 3.2K, 3,200 cycles per second. It's infinitely fast. So in one worst case scenario, in 1/3,200ths of a second, the wind hits it, it starts to change, and the PID loop is going to start to attack it. How high your PID numbers are basically is how quickly it attacks it. It has nothing to do with power, although it acts like it has to do with power because it's cumulative. If you have a really aggressive PID tune, it's going to very early on start pushing against the error, and keep pushing against the air. So it's through an amount of time, it's going to push harder and it's going to have more momentum to fight against that error. If you have a more powerful motor and propeller combination, it doesn't have to attack it so early. So that's why with low power combos, we push our PIDs way high. On higher power combos, a lot of times we don't need to push the PIDs at all. We can leave them stone stock right down the middle. On super high power, lightweight setups, you might have to pull the PIDs down a little bit. Rates are just how the quad reacts to your stick inputs. You push the stick a little bit, and the center rate is going to, the number that you have in your center rate is going to denote how quickly, when you push the stick a little bit, or how slowly it reacts. You push the stick to the middle of the stick travel, now you're into expo. If you have a high number of expo, when you push into the center of the stick travel, not a whole lot's going to happen. If you have low expo, it's going to be more like a linear rate where you push into the middle of the stick travel and a lot happens. Kind of annoying. It's sort of backwards. The center, the number that you have in for center sensitivity, the higher the number, the more aggressive it is in the center. Expo is the opposite. The higher the number, the softer it is in the middle of the stick travel. And then the max rotation is pretty straightforward. When you put the stick all the way over in any direction, the max rotational rate is how many degrees per second it's going to sit there and spin when you're all the way out into the plastic. That's how actual rates work. If you're using anything other than actual rates, you've lost your damn mind. Actual rates are hands down the best rate profile to run. If you're on Betaflight rates, get the hell off of there. Get onto actual rates. Betaflight rates, they couple, there is more bleed over in between those three things than actual rates. Actual rates are brilliant because the center controls the center of the stick travel, the expo controls the middle of the stick travel, the max rotational rate controls the outside of the stick travel, and that's it. You can make the center of your stick travel really soft, the middle of your stick travel really lively, and then the outside of your stick travel really slow with actual rates. You cannot do that on any other rate profile. And you can do any combination of those things. You can make the center really lively and the middle dead and the outside really lively and really fast. The actual rates are just so good at decoupling the center of the stick travel, the middle of the stick travel, and the outside of the stick travel when you're all the way into the plastic. And yeah, it's a really big deal. So get over to actual rates or else. Great question, brother. And then we're going to dive even deeper in a second. But let me attempt to get somewhat caught up on chat here. RC Roscoe says, what's up, buddy? Finally got some free time to watch. Glad to have you back, brother. Chick with Stick says, your hair makes me eggplant. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's a package going out tomorrow to you, Chick. Danzilla, if you're in here, if you end up watching this, you're in here. I was like, yo, did you get your package yet? No, you didn't get your package yet because it's been sitting on the goddamn floor here. It's in the mailbox right now, though. I think it went out today. So you'll get it soon. Sorry to get your hopes up. Sergio says, new to the channel, just bought first parts for a Whoop Beta FPV F4 AIO 0702 HappyModel 26000s and bi-blades. Any recommendations? You're going to need a VTX. Unfortunately, the worst part about that Beta FPV F4 AIO is that it does not have a VTX built in. So you're going to have to run an external VTX. That is the setup that all of the racers run so that they can run a better quality VTX that doesn't bleed over onto the other racers' channels that they're racing with. For a freestyle build, I actually prefer the HappyModel F4 ELRS AIO because it has a VTX built in, so you don't have to wire anything up. You don't have to have an external build that you figure, external board that you figure out where you're going to package it, where you're going to put it, basically. But that Beta FPV F4 AIO is really good. It's actually the AIO that I use on all of these walk snail builds. So once you've completely fallen in love with tiny whoops, you can use that for a walk snail build. It's kind of the perfect AIO for a walk snail build, to be honest with you. So yeah, you bought some good stuff. The 0702 26,000s are a great starting place. Fly the shit out of those. Eventually, you'll probably want to come up to like a 702 30,000 or a 32,000. If you get really good, you might be able to handle the 36,000 kV 702 Fireflies. But those 26,000s are an amazing starting point. They're going to be really good. They're nice and lightweight. Really good response time with the Gemfan biblades. Yeah, fly the hell out of that combo, fall in love with tiny whooping, and then there's even more performance to be had, but you're at a really good starting point there. Mutterdertson said, YouTube did the thing. There it is. Oh, we got that one. Allfaxis says, everyone go subscribe to Danzilla Terrible. Indeed. You guys should all be subscribed to all of each other. It's super fun. Gert Jan X says, hey, Sergio's got that. Chick says, looking forward to the swag. You'll have it in a few days. Volusia says, can you explain ELRS settings you use? I am not an ELRS guru. I don't even know the settings I use. I think I do 250 hertz because I'm just flying around the house. 500 hertz seems like you're kind of flying a little too close to the sun, so I just back it down to 250. And then for the telemetry ratio, I think I do like 1/16 or 1/8. I don't even know what the telemetry ratio really is. It really is. I think it's how often it's sending telemetry packets. I don't know. The stock ELRS settings have always been pretty damn good, so I never really screwed around with them. Denzel Lives Terrible says, I've been checking the mailbox 3 times a day. Sorry, brother. Unluckiest Numbers is having trouble trying to get Race 8 on the Hummingbird V3 working, and I'm not the only one. Really? I've had Race 8 is the only channel that I use, and I've had 3 Hummingbirds now, and they've all been totally fine. That's weird. Luckily, NewBeeDrone has really good customer support, and they're stateside. So shoot them a message, let them know. And yeah, they'll figure it out. That's weird. Traffic says, I come from line of sight plank flying, and I actually like Betaflight rates. Fight me. Whatever you guys like. Look, if you can get the Betaflight rates exactly where you want them, center stick, middle stick, out, and then into the plastic, nothing else really matters. But there are things that you can do with the actual rates that you cannot do with Betaflight rates. Basically, you cannot get the center of the stick travel to be totally soft, but then have a half-decent rotational rate with Betaflight rates. Actual rates allow you to get the center of the stick travel much, 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 much softer. And for cinematic pilots, that's a really big deal, because that removes the notch that you see in the footage when you cross that center point. Like if you get the center point of the stick travel really, really, really soft, you can slow the stick down when you get into there and then slowly unload the one spring and then start loading up the second spring. And in the flight footage, it'll go, as opposed to, right, that like pop that we've become so accustomed to kind of doing. I tried for years to get the Betaflight rate soft enough in the center, but still have like 700, 800 degrees per second to do that. And because of the way that, just because of the way that the Betaflight rates work, you just can't do it. When you lower your center sensitivity, it affects everything. And then you can't get the end of the stick travel up enough. So what you end up doing with Betaflight rates is just pouring more and more and more expo on the fire. But the expo only really adjusts the middle of the stick travel. It doesn't really adjust the center of the stick travel much. So what you end up with is the center of your stick travel is kind of like medium to sharp. And then you've got acres of expo. And then you've got a massive ramp up at the end for your max rotational rate. Whereas with actual rates, you've got this center adjustment that only adjusts the center. It doesn't affect anything else, which for me was... I was like so frustrated with Betaflight rates for so long, and when the actual rates came out, I was just like over the fucking moon, man. They made such a difference to me, being able to have like the center stick be like almost imperceptible. Like, I like my center stick to be like a fucking Mavic, where you can hide movements. Like if the center stick has any amount of like quickness to it, you like, there's always motion going on. I want to be able to lock this thing down so it looks like I'm just tracking a completely straight line, because when you do that, when you track a perfectly straight line, you can speed ramp that footage really aggressively. If you're not able to really just settle in and almost trace like a Mavic straight path, when you speed ramp, you're going to see every tiny little movement that you make. So for me, with the center stick sensitivity all the way down at 40, I'm able to just make these minuscule little adjustments in the center of the throttle, and they don't show up at all. Like it just looks like you're cruising perfectly straight ahead. But what I can do, like if I know that if I'm looking far ahead, which I usually am, and I see that the gap, I'm not perfectly lined up for the gap, maybe the gap is over here, I can put just the tiniest little bit in there to ever so slowly get this thing to kind of angle and then get lined up for the gap. And then by the time I get there, it's perfectly on the money. So yeah. I tried everything, man. I tried like lubing the gimbals, running the springs super soft. Nothing got me there. Actual rates did though. NVS FPV says what's good. Unluckiest number says look above Danzilla's post. King FPV says I know I got a package because I have tracking. Nice. I don't see what I'm looking for. Unlike having trouble trying. Oh no, got that. I don't know what I'm looking for, brother. Sorry. Traffic. No, we got that. Daniel says he finally did it. I finally have one on the way. Thank you, Jesse. Prop popper on the way. Oh my God, Daniel. You got one of the prop poppers last night, huh? There weren't many. Traffic says interesting. I guess years of stick time maybe compensate it. Matt Norton says Traffic's unless you try actual rates, you'll never totally understand what I'm saying. It's really it's a real thing. Like it's really cool. You might not like it at first, right? Like rates are tricky. Like most of the time that you make rate changes, they don't feel right because you're used to where you're at. But if you put like 20, 30 batteries into a rig that has really low center stick sensitivity and you try to fly like in that more cinematic way, I think a light bulb might go on in your head. It's pretty slick. If you don't fly cinematic, though, it doesn't make nearly as much of a difference. Matt Norton says, just got my V3 to make the VTX even work from on your Discord. I've emailed them, but haven't gotten an explanation yet. Can't get race 8 to work either. It's like the VTX is locked. Yo, that's so weird. That is so weird. I have no idea what to tell you. Unluckiest number says, we need Riot and whomever else tried to get us help on race 8. I can't help because my hummingbirds have been fine on race 8, so there's like nothing I can do. Ask them to send you the VTX table. Ask them to send you a CLI dump of the VTX table. That's the only thing I can think of that might be causing an issue. It's not, but it's the only thing I can think of. Mick Muka says, setting up a new HappyModel board, and I went to adjust the VTX in the OSD, and it said it wasn't configured. What should I do? That's just because you're probably not powering the board. In order for it to say that... Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, you've got a VTX table problem, Mick. Yeah, do all the VTX table steps and that. So you landed, you went into your OSD. I was thinking you were in Betaflight going into OSD. No, you landed and tried to go into your OSD, and then you went to VTX and it said not configured. That means the VTX table is not working right. So yeah, look up, Joshua's got an amazing video, old video on VTX tables that walks you through the whole thing. Just do that and just go through all the VTX tables. Something's not right. Something's wrong in the ports tab, or the table itself is wrong. Yeah, something's going on there. That is classic VTX table related issues. Traffic says last time I did cinematic stuff, I has a NASA and it was smooth AF, but I still like the smooth throwy flight style. Might give it a try when winter's over. Yeah, you might dig it. It's pretty cool. Unluckiest number says Riot found the VTX table, had us paste something into the CLI. Power needed to be at max. Anyway, you can show me your VTX page so I can screenshot it. I can. Yes, I can. I actually have that. The hummingbird that blew up the other day, right here, but the VTX table did not blow up. So I'll give you both the VTX table in the CLI as well as the actual screen. So here you go with this. All right, so there's that. That should be showing up just fine. And then in the CLI, I'm going to type get VTX and see what that... All right, well, here comes a CLI dump. It's not going to let me do this into the chat, is it? No, it's too many characters. I'm going to put this over on Discord in Toothpick and Whoop. All right. Hummingbird VTX CLI dump. All right, so there's that. And now I'm also going to do diff, and there's usually some VTX stuff in the diff. Where the hell is it? Here it is, VTX table. All right, so here is the VTX table in the diff. Maybe that'll help. And that's all I can really think to do. Master, accelerometer, OSD. Wait, here we go. Here's a little bit more VTX stuff. These are just some settings. This isn't going to help you, but I'm going to drop it in there anyway. And that's it. That's all the VTX stuff. Cool. Hopefully that helps. Off access drop in the CiottiFPV.com link. Thank you, dude. This is my full-time job. CiottiFPV.com is where you can go to allow this thing to keep on going. We are completely crowdfunded here. This way, every review is honest. If something sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks. If something's great, I'm going to tell you it's great. I have no reason not to. So, yeah, something I kind of stole from Joshua. Joshua explained the way he set his dealie up, and I really dug that and went the same direction. It's been great since. So, yeah, there's a Patreon where you can, that definitely helps me out the most. There's a whole bunch of affiliate links over there. Just go to the website, bookmark it, and you're going to love my nuts. This is a brand new HappyModel AIO. Let's take a look at the wacky, oh, what the hell? Why is it on rate profile 2? Why, they're not usually, oh, this is fucking weird, yo. So they've got the sliders turned off, and then they've got a whole bunch of values in here. That is really weird. And I just deleted it by turning that on, but it didn't save it, so I hit refresh. I didn't save it. Wow, those are some pretty aggressive values there. Let me take a look at what gyro is on this. If you ever want to know what gyro is on your flight controller, type status and then look right here. There it is, BMI 270. So this is a BMI 270 version. I have another one here. Let me see what this other one is. And maybe this other one has the wacky slider setup that I've seen before on the HappyModel rigs. If this doesn't, there's not a whole lot that I can do because I always change those sliders pretty much right out of the box. But let's take a look at this one here. Maybe we'll get lucky here. I do want to check this one to see what gyro is on this one. Status. All right, and now this one is a ICM 42688 gyro, which kind of sucks, but I don't know. I've actually had better luck with the 42688 than the BMI 270. I have not. I know the BMI the BMI 270 did really well in some of Mark Spatz and Chris Rosser's testing, but I have not had good luck with the BMI 270 gyro. It's I think it's my least favorite. And yeah, now this one also has the sliders turned off. What the hell? Why? Why did they do what? Why are they doing this? These are fairly new ones, so I guess the ones that you're gonna get are gonna come like this. Well, I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna put it back in the package, and I'm just gonna show you how I set the sliders up on mine. When you hit that switch to turn the sliders on, it's gonna default everything out to 1.0, which is not bad. Those sliders, top to bottom at 1.0, are fine with a good motor and a good propeller. Yeah, you're gonna be totally fine with that setup. But there are some changes that can be made that I have figured out over many years of tuning many different rigs. So what I'm going to do is pull this, and then I'm just going to take a screenshot because the whoops get a little warm with ELRS when they're just sitting there plugged in. Is there anything I'm missing off the bottom? Nah, nothing. All right, cool. So here's that screenshot. Let me pull power from this, and we're going to go full screen here. Where the hell's the button to go full screen? Why have they changed everything? Okay, whatever. All right, so let's talk through some of this shite. We're going to focus on the sliders first here. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, so as you can see, even with... So if you remember a second ago, the roll proportional P gain value is 85, and then the pitch is 80, which is weird. The pitch should have more than the roll, so I have absolutely no idea why they're doing that. Also, I've got this D gain slider all the way up at 1.6, and look at my values. My values are below what theirs are, so they have really aggressive PID values on that AIO right out of the box, which would explain why I've heard from a couple people that their ultimate freestyle tiny whoops just like oscillate to the moon as soon as they arm them for the first time. And my first suggestion is to like put the sliders all to 1.0. So yeah, when it shows up this mode. Oh, it's a screenshot. When you first get it, this mode is not going to be RPY. It's going to be just set to off. Change it to RPY. The sliders are great. You want to use the sliders. I'm going to blast through this. I'm going to give you a super abbreviated version of this. If you really want to dive into tuning, the one-on-one sessions that I've got over on Fiverr are your best bet. Just get in touch with me. We can spend a half an hour, and I can really dive into each one of these things and relate it in a way that is going to make sense to you. I'm going to explain this in the most generic possible way. I'm going to keep as few car-related examples as possible because I know that doesn't work for some people. But the damping slider is the big one. If you only adjust one slider, it should be the very first slider. Betaflight has done a great job ordering these sliders, in my opinion, from most important to least important. So the damping slider is the most important. Tracking is a little bit less important. Stick response is a little bit less important. Dmax is a little bit less important. And then these last four are the least important. Master multiplier, you could argue, is pretty important, but realistically, I would rather just adjust the damping degain slider than the master multiplier. But technically speaking, the absolute easiest way to tune is just to move the master multiplier up and down. But if you're here, you can probably handle what I'm about to give you with the rest of these sliders. So, again, super abbreviated descriptions here. These are not 100% correct descriptions because there is bleed over between some of these sliders, but what I'm going to tell you here is like 90 to 95% right. And if you just follow this quick guide, you're going to be able to tune really, really well. Damping, degain slider. This controls the softness at the beginning of and the end of moves, and it also controls prop wash handling. Move it up for better prop wash handling and more softness at the beginning of ends of moves. Move it down if your motors are getting hot, or if your rig is oscillating to the moon, or if when you go to zero throttle, the motors don't quiet all the way down. If you go to zero throttle when you're flying and the motors are kind of like angry sounding or they're slow to ramp down, more than likely you've got the damping slider too high. Back it off, in my case, from 1.6 to 1.4, and the problem will probably clean itself up. The tracking slider is how good the quad is going to track in a straight line. The easiest thing to do with the tracking slider is to keep it a little bit behind the damping slider like I have it here. So if you have your damping slider up at 1.6, put the tracking to 1.4. If the damping is at 1.4, move the tracking to 1.2. Just always try to have this tracking slider chasing the damping slider like this. Rigs tend to fly better with a little bit more degain than P&I gain. Stick response slider is just that. How quick do you want the stick response to be? I run mine very low because I want some stick smoothing. The sharpness that my fingers have and like any jitteriness from it being cold out or me being nervous gets completely eliminated by having this stick response slider down low. And the dirty little secret is that when you move the sticks, no matter what, the motors are going to start to ramp up at the same time. Having the stick response slider low like this, it more gradually ramps the motors up. So if you have like an emergency situation and you bang the stick into the plastic, you're going to get a reaction out of the quad at the exact same speed as if you had this stick response slider high. The difference is going to be the reaction from the quad with low stick response is going to be more gentle, but it's going to start to react at the same speed. It's just not going to, like, when you move the stick really fast, low stick response, even though you've moved it really fast, is going to be a gradual attack. High stick response, it's going to snap all the way over, and it's going to be like a very violent, usually overcorrection if you've panicked and you've rammed the sticks into the plastic. So, yeah, the stick response slider, having it low makes your footage a lot more watchable. But it is going to add a little bit of latency towards the end of the movement. The beginning of the quad's movement is going to happen at the exact same speed, but the continuation of the movement is going to be a little bit slowed down, a little bit smoother, and yeah, you'll see it. You'll see the difference. Move the stick response slider all the way down to 0.1, fly around, move it all the way up to 2.0 and fly it around. You'll see what I mean. Dynamic damping is how hard it's going to fight prop wash. I tend to run this anywhere between 1.2 and 1.5. This boosts the D-gain, the damping, only when the rig goes into prop wash. So the dynamic damping DMAX slider is actually really important in my experience for being able to handle prop wash without just blasting the D-gain slider super high. So yeah, DMAX is awesome. Drift wobble, this specifically controls I-gain. I-gain is the hardest to tune. Just keep this anywhere from like 1.0 to 0.8 or 1.2, somewhere in the middle, and you'll be fine. You can move this slider all like up and down a lot, and you won't really feel or see a difference. The I-gains are pretty well set, so just keeping this drift wobble slider in the middle is a really good bet. Pitch damping and pitch tracking, these sliders allow us to add more PID gain to just the pitch axis, which makes sense because we run our batteries front to back, so there is more weight on the pitch axis. So we would want more PID gains, a quicker response time on that pitch axis to offset the fact that there's more weight to move. The quad has to work harder on the pitch axis because the weight of the battery is spread on that axis. Think about like putting your arms out, right? Like with your arms out, that's the pitch axis. If you had two big weights in your arm and you tried to move them, it would be really difficult. If you pull your arms in like the roll axis, it's going to be a lot easier. So out on the pitch axis, you've got more weight spread out. You want the PID loop, the error correction, to react quicker because it needs to react quicker because the response is going to be slower from having that weight spread out on that axis. So I almost always recommend you run your pitch damping and tracking sliders up at like 1.1 at least. I really like it at 1.2. And then the master multiplier controls everything. It moves everything up and down. If you're going to do this here and you're going to offset these things anywhere like what I have, just leave the master multiplier at 1.0. You can move these things individually. You know, like if on this craft the propellers and the motors start getting all beat up, I'm going to just move the damping and tracking sliders down a little bit. I don't need to change the stick response. I don't need to change the I-gains. I don't need to change anything else. I just want to change the things that are going to bring the thing under control. So yeah, the master multiplier doesn't give you that ability. It adjusts everything, which for somebody that just wants to be super simple with this tuning, that's totally fine. But there's not that much to it. You can have a much more customized tune, and you can move a couple of these sliders that just affect specific bad behaviors so that you don't wreck the rest of the tune, basically. Make sense? The other stuff is fair. I mean, these feed forward items here are driven mainly by your control link. So if you go in and you put like the ELRS preset in, it's going to set these settings. You should just leave them alone. iTerm relax, you should always change your cutoff to a value of 10 for freestyle, in my opinion and experience. Anti-gravity is set damn near perfectly out of the box. Leave it alone. Dynamic damping, you can screw around with this a little bit. It's the settings out of the box are pretty damn good. Motor output limit of 100%. We've talked to death about that. Dynamic idle, there's plenty of videos about that. The rest of this stuff, just leave it alone. Just leave this stuff alone. It's the default settings are really, really good on the rest of this junk. That you shouldn't really need to dive into them. But if you do want to dive into them, ask me a specific question and we'll we'll go for it. There you go, friends. Yeah, the HappyModel AIO has a very strange, very aggressive PID tune out of the box. My assumption as to why that is that it's the AIO for the Mobula 6 ELRS, which comes with extremely underpowered motors right now, right? It comes with like 19,000 kV motors, so they've gone bananas with the PID gains, and made the error correction loop like razor's edge. The error correction loop with those really high numbers is going to be very quick to attack any bad behaviors, any times that it goes off set point. And you have to do that when your motors are very low powered, because you have to attack. If the wind hits it and the motors are very low powered, you have to tell it to spin this motor up and spin this motor down as quick as possible, because it doesn't have a lot of power to do that. So it has to start spinning, changing that motor speed early to let it like accumulate and be able to hopefully push against that wind to keep it on set point. Set point is just wherever we have the sticks. The error correction, the PIDs, are there to make sure that exactly what we're doing with the sticks is exactly what the craft is doing. So if the stick is centered, that's set point. Like when you center the sticks, you're telling it something. You feel like you're not telling it to do anything, but you're telling it to go absolutely dead straight ahead. If there is any wind, that's hard as shit to do. Look at like FPV quads from 10 years ago. They're fucking all over the damn place. They can't handle it. They didn't have good enough filtering. They didn't have good enough response times. And so, yeah, that's what's happening there. Cool. Tim Hartman says, is the Hummingbird V3 still a good bang for your buck for novice pilots? I didn't catch what blew yours up the other day. I spiked mine into the ground good and hard. It was on the carpet though. I tend to expect components not to die from carpet crashes. If they die upstairs on the hardwood, I kind of get it, especially because the ceilings are high. And I have like really powerful motors on these things. So yeah, I'm starting to question the Hummingbird's durability a little bit. I do have one more that I will get built one of these days, and so the first Hummingbird that blew up was because Blue Jay 0.20 is flawed. So the first one that blew up is no fault of it or NewBeeDrone's. This one that blew up is 100% it blowing up from it taking a big shock. I don't like that. That's hard. Like that really comes down to the quality control, I think, of the company that's putting the boards together. And you know, there are no specs on that. Like the only way that we get a feel for that is to buy this stuff and smash it. So yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I know how to answer that. The durability of the Hummingbird V3 is still relatively unknown because it's new. The durability of the Mobula 6 ELRS is a known quantity, and it is hysterically durable. So, like my own money, I'm gonna buy a Mobula 6 ELRS 100% of the time. The Hummingbird V3 is really cool because it is super lightweight. It is the lightest weight AIO with a VTX built in and ELRS. And that's really cool. And it's a company that's in California. Like there's a lot of benefits to the NewBeeDrone stuff. But yeah, my own money, it's a Mobula 6 ELRS every single time, unquestionably. If you're doing an order on NewBeeDrone, or if there's like a specific reason that you want to go with the Hummingbird, do it. If you want the lightest weight setup, do it. It is that. But the durability is a question mark because it's new. And I don't love that I had that one fail last week. So, but it's one single failure. In the world of FPV, absolutely any component could fail at any given time. Like we do not get components that have great quality control anywhere in FPV. We demand that these things be cheap, and the manufacturers very quickly throw out their quality control procedures and just crank these things out as cheap as possible. So yeah, we're looking for like the best of the cheap. We are consistently looking for the best of the garbage, in a way. That's kind of a mean thing to say, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Off access drop in the CiottiFPV.com link. Thank you, dude. I just realized that I've missed a shitload of chat comments, so I need to scroll up here to figure out where I was. Oh no, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't miss a bunch. Oh no, I'm good. Pasu FPV says, what are your thoughts about the Firefly 1S FR for outdoor flying, HD0? Firefly, is that the Flywoo toothpick thing? Yeah, I don't have any personal experience, but I have heard from people that this thing is good. Toothpicks have been around for so long that like pretty much any bind and fly toothpick at this point is gonna be pretty awesome. Flywoo makes really good stuff. It looks like these are their 1002s, the new LA Laker colored 1002s, which are great motors. So yeah, this is probably a really good rig. I'm not a fan of HD0, but I am jealous that you can get that 90 frame per second camera and get super low latency. But yeah, other than that, this should be a good build. I'm rigs that I have not personally smashed the hell out of. I'm not going to tell you a lot about them because I'm not just going to regurgitate somebody else's review because their review might be wrong. Nick Burns is the best micro reviewer, hands down. See if he has a review of it and trust the shit out of his review. I don't think Joshua has... Wait, maybe Joshua did review that rig. Definitely look for a Joshua review. His reviews are also absolute top-notch. I really don't trust anybody else, if I'm totally honest. I'm pretty picky with who I trust, and it's really those two guys. No, Quad 66. Quad 66 is also brilliant. His reviews are great. Those three guys are who you can trust. So see if you can get some info from them, from their channels rather. If you didn't know, on YouTube channels, there's a super secret magic amazing feature where if you go to somebody's channel, there's a little question mark here. And if you click this question mark, you can search all of the text only on their channel. So yeah, go to those guys' channels, search for Firefly, search for Flywoo, search for the name of the AIO that comes in that rig, and you should be able to get a bunch of info on it. Frulojo dropping the Patreon link. Thank you, dude. Quadbod says, unluckiest number, the manual for your teleporter V3s only guarantees compatibility with Fatshark. Wow, with Fatshark band channels 1 through 7. Can you even select race band channels on the goggles? I would never have thought that the goggles were the problem. This is the issue with FPV. There are so goddamn many variables. It's so difficult to troubleshoot. Good call, Quadbod. Jesus. Yeah, if your goggles won't go up to race 8, there's the problem. And I remember that. The very first set of Fatsharks that I bought, I think they might have been I forget what the hell they were, but they didn't have the race band channels. They only had the Fatshark channels. So what I did is I found a Fatshark channel that was right next to a race band channel. If you look on like the channel sheets, like so for example, Fatshark 8 is right next to race band 7. I think that's what I did. I think on those goggles I ran them on Fatshark 8 and then I tuned the quad to race band 7. Also, Fatshark 6 is pretty close to race band 6. It's not nearly as close though. Fatshark 8 is very, very, very close to race band 7. I think they're 3 numbers off. You know, the frequencies are from 5,650 all the way up to like 5,900, like 5,950 actually. And so, yeah, Fatshark 8 and race band 7 are like, it would be like 5850 and then 5853, and that small of a gap, it'll come in like perfectly clear. Like a couple of individual digits within, you know, thousands. We're going from 5,650 to 5,950, right? So we've got a 300. We're you know, top to bottom on race band, it's 300 is the gap. So 3 into 300 is a very, very small margin. So that you'll be tuned like so close to that channel that it'll come in nice and clear. Yeah, that's totally what I did. Because Fatshark 8 and Race Band 7 are the only two that are like right next to each other. So, yeah, there's that. Tim Hartman says, is the Hummingbird V... Oh, we got that. Walter fell asleep. Freeledger says, check what ESC firmware is on those AIOs if possible. Good idea. That is not possible because there are no battery leads on these. Sorry. I wish. That would be a good thing to check. I am going to build these at one point, though, and then we'll look. McMucus says, what reseller did you buy that AIO from? Was the battery lead pre-soldered? Nope, neither one of them have battery leads, and I have no idea where I got them. I've had these for a while, actually, like a couple of months. Sergio says, I don't know if you answered my question or not. Sergio, what was your question? Yes, I did. I did answer your question, Sergio. Rewind back or just wait for the repeat. Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper does timestamps. If you watch this like a day or two from now, there'll be a timestamp to your question. Basically, I said that you got some good stuff, and you'll be happy with it, and you'll have some room to grow. Bob Noxious says, what's up? And Unluckiest Number says, before I tried getting Race 8, I couldn't fly 10 feet without static on the Hummingbird V3. Riot gave me this fix, and why did it fix it? It's below. Hummingbird V3 fix equals VTX table power levels 2. I'm not sure why that fixed it. I've never really had to dive into the CLI to like figure out what the hell all the cryptic ass things mean. But if anything is wrong in the VTX table, it can cause issues. So, yeah. Kevin Sumner says, have you gotten to fly the HD090 frame per second mode? I have not. If not, I should make you fly a couple batteries on one of my Rampage. I will absolutely. Cool. We're good to go. Mailbag is... We're not going to play the thing. Very cool edition 3 of the FPV guide by Ray Noland. These are like my absolute... Like, I love having the Fly Tribe magazines on the coffee table, but they're not books. This is my favorite coffee table book right here. There are 3 of these, and they are just so cool. You might never use them. They're super handy though. Like I should use these because there's lots of really good stuff. But it's just, even if you don't use it, it's just super cool, super well done. Product drawings, really cool specs. These are going to be incredibly handy when all of these products are discontinued, and eventually the product pages, which unbelievably contain all of the info that we need on most of our effing products, disappear and get taken down. So these books at some point are going to be a goddamn gold mine for people with old stuff, because they're going to be the only spot that you can look to see which pad is which on the Speedy B 35 amp mini V2 ESC when we're up to the Speedy B V10 ESC, right? So yeah, hopefully Ray will make these books available forever, because eventually they're going to be absolutely super, super, super important. There are just a ton of really good little tips and tricks in here, and like the weights. Yeah, these books are great. TBS Crossfire Diversity nano receiver with how you set your ports tab up. Yeah, these are someone who is very into FPV. These are made by someone who is obviously very into FPV. Like, I feel like 9 times out of 10 when I see like any technical stuff, there's a bunch of shit missing. Like, they'll give us like a technical breakdown of the motor, and they'll give us like the stator width, and then they'll give us the height from like the base of the top of the bell to the bottom, but they'll leave out the distance from the top of the motor shaft to the bottom of the bell, right? Like, there's always something missing. And in these books, and it takes somebody that like really knows their shit, that has really been around for a while, to get like all of those specs in there, and like, you know, including like the specs that seem to be worthless to most people, but then like, of course, that's the one spec that you're going to need for the weird project that you're working on. And yeah, these books do such a good job of that. And yeah, just really well done. So thank you, Ray, for sending this over, sending another one of these over. I have one on the little coffee table over there. I have the other one on the end table over there. I have another one in the coffee table. And yeah, really good stuff. Look at this. DJI Action 2 with a whole bunch of info on settings, right? So you don't have to go bombing around the internet for settings. Best settings, resolution 2.4, only shoot in 4K. So here's an example, right? Like, resolution 2.7K, only shoot in 4K if really needed. Reason, limitation of both battery runtime and internal storage. Like, perfect. That is a perfect definition. And the fact that he says, like, just the fact that he's saying to shoot in 2.7 rather than just like, oh, just shoot everything in the highest settings ever. Like that is someone that truly gets it, and that is very rare. Aspect ratio 4:3, export to 16:9. Reason, always better to have those extra pixels. Right? Like, there's so much stuff in here that like I've been preaching to you guys for the past 3.5 years. It's so nice to see it like in print, right? Like this, there was every possibility for these FPV guides to be missing shit like this. And that would be such a shame. Like, the fact that it has this stuff it just warms my heart, man. It really does. FPS 30 frames per second, shutter 1/60, ISO 100 plus ND filters depending on conditions. Better results can be achieved with higher ND filters. If too dark, increase the ISO. Color profile, DJI D-Cine-alike FOV wide. Oh, look at that. Provided by Yannick FPV. So those best, that's cool. That's cool. So Ray linked up with Yannick FPV and asked him about the best settings. Yeah, this is great, man. This is really, really, really well done. Each one of these I've been super impressed with. So if you have a couple of bucks, definitely snag these. Whole bunch of definitions and acronyms and shit. Like, just, yeah, this is rad. This is absolutely awesome. FPV-guidebook.com. Can somebody drop the proper link into the chat for me so it's clickable? This is the sub 500 gram edition. It says up here in the corner. Awesome. FPV-guidebook, guidebook.com. Came with a couple of FPV shot stickers, his very cool little logo, and then I'm assuming that this is going to come with all of them. This is a frequency chart. This is a very current frequency chart that has DJI Walk Snail and HD0 on it, which is awesome. It's even got down at the bottom. Again, perfect example, right? Down at the bottom of the digital section, there's a little line of text here that says, Keep 50 megabit per second pilots 1 to 3 meters away from other pilots. We all know that, but goddamn is that easy to forget. And goddamn is it hard to get that little bit of info when you're new, right? So yeah, this is brilliant. This is a laminated sheet which was inserted in here. I'm assuming that these come with everyone. I'm assuming that he didn't just put this in here for me. The frequency sheet on one side. This is a FPV camera focusing sheet. I have a really fancy like photography one that was sent to me by one of you beautiful bastards. This will get every bit of the job done that you need. You hold this at. The only problem with this is it's a little small. Typically, you want to focus your camera out like. I like to focus them like 5 to 10 feet out. At 5 to 10 feet away, this thing is going to be so small that it's going to be tough to like actually see it with analog, right? With digital, this is going to work fine, but with analog, this is just going to be blurry at 10 feet away. But why not throw it on the back? Very, very cool. Really good stuff. And the way that these focus charts work is that as you're focusing the lens, if the camera is pointing at something like this, it is very obvious whether or not the camera is in focus or not. All of these tight black and then white lines will go very soft and then perfectly sharp and then very soft again as you rotate the lens. And then so you overshoot it and then you back off into it and then you push and then you just wiggle it back and forth, smaller, until it's perfect. Amazing work, Ray. Thank you for sending this over. Very, very cool of you. Yeah. Get you an FPV guide, my friend. You'll love it sitting on your coffee table. And it's like small and square and kind of cool looking, you know? I have it on like a super mid-century mod table over there. And it just looks awesome. I'll try to show you with the tiny whoop in a minute. It just looks cool sitting there. So get you some. I'm actually going to leave this out. This is incredibly handy. I'm going to put this right next to my monitor. Get in there. What? Can you just... Can't something not fight me? There it goes. Oh, man. Good job, brother. He's got his... so there's a bunch of people building these little 3-inch Carnage. Super lightweight. Like 100 gram, 151 gram all up weight, 3-inch rigs. With the camera pushed a little bit forward. So it's basically a toothpick with a little bit less prop and motor in view. And he's got a full-blown build guide for that Carnage in here, which is great. Yeah, cool stuff. Very, very, very cool stuff. Oh my God, oh, that's slick. How to pull apart a Session 5 and swap the battery out? Okay. That's something that I'll need to do at some point. Jesus. Yo. Very cool. I dig it. I dig it a lot, man. Great job, Ray. Thank you for putting in a shitload of work to do something like that. Making something physical like that takes a ton of time and then a ton of money to have them printed, and you're taking a big-ass chance. Because if nobody buys it, you're screwed. You put all that money out. So let's buy them to make sure that Ray's not screwed. Mako to Shark. I couldn't figure out what it said at first. Is new to FPV and got the Cetus kit. Do you know any good ready to fly drones that are under $200? That is a little too open-ended of a question, Mako. You said you've got the Cetus kit, so you've already got something on the way. Fly the shit out of that. Fly that a lot. Get a bunch of extra batteries, and just put a ton of stick time into that setup that you've got coming. And in the process, you're going to be watching me, Joshua, all kinds of other people. Don't listen to anybody on Facebook groups. 80% of the advice you get on Facebook groups is dead ass wrong, so be really careful over there. Be very selective of who you watch and who you listen to. Make sure that the people that you watch and listen to don't say that everything is the greatest thing ever. make sure that they are technically minded, but also a decent enough pilot. And yeah, by the time you're sick of that Cetus kit, you'll have a better idea of what you want. Yeah, just the open-ended question of like, are there any good ready-to-fly drones that are under $200? There's probably 50 that are good for under $200. But I don't know if you would be better served with a long-range rig to fly 5 miles out, or a tiny whoop to rip around your house, or a 3-inch rig, or a 5-inch rig, or a Cinewhoop, right? There's just a million different things that you can buy, but you've got that Cetus kit, so drive that thing into the ground, and in the process, you'll be learning a ton. And as you fly that thing more and more and more, you're going to figure out where you want to fly, right? Do you want to fly in the house? Do you want to fly in your yard? Do you want to fly at your local school, at a jungle gym, in a big-ass football field? And that's going to drive the next decision as to the rig that you buy. Brad Bondon says, motor name, Ciotti Cyclones. I don't hate that. I don't hate it. It shouldn't have Ciotti in it, though. It should just be like a name. Brad also says, oh, God. Just an insane pitch just started in my left ear. Brad Munden says, would you mind putting the stick layout on and doing that snappy yaw 180 back and forth thing? So I don't have a way of putting the stick layout on. There is a stick layout in Betaflight, but it's very delayed, so it wouldn't help you. Snappy yaw 180 back and forth thing. I do that to test yaw to make sure that the yaw values aren't overactive, but I can't think of what you mean. I can't think of what camera movement you're talking about. Try to describe it in a little bit more detail. Bob Noxious says, these are all things you have said to us in the past. I know, right? That's why I'm so happy that they're in print. CMYK says, yo. Brad Bondon says, if you're flying the Walksnail 65, please do a HD mirror flip. I will. It's a good idea. I don't think I've done an HD mirror flip yet. Blizzard says, what are the coupon codes for at NewBeeDrone? Whoa, it is 8:40 already. Good God. Okay. I need to do more of those coupon code giveaways, but we've kind of run out of time tonight. So remind me Sunday and we'll do more coupon code giveaways. NewBeeDrone also gave me propeller coupon codes for a free set of NewBeeDrone propellers. I kind of talk smack on the NewBeeDrone propellers. I don't like them. I love NewBeeDrone as a company. I love a lot of the things that they make, but I don't like their propellers. But if you do, that's fine. So I will give some of those away. But I'm going to give the frames, the Cockroach 65 V3 frames, which I have a ton of coupon codes for, are, in my opinion, the best tiny whoop frames that there are right now. So I'm going to really push those coupon codes out to you guys. Yeah. UAV Futures, what's up, homie? Good to have you. Good to have you back, brother. It was a cold and dark place without you, my friend. Thanks for charging through. I, of all people, know how difficult generalized anxiety disorder and major depressive disorder can be. They almost took me out a couple of times in my life, and it's been a hell of a fight to kind of get back. So seeing anyone else going through any of that, yeah, you have my utmost respect in forcing through it and having the strength of will to bounce back and come back to the FPV community, and come back to YouTube, right? YouTube is a pretty shitty place at times that can trigger a lot of really nasty stuff. So yeah, man, thank you for fighting through. We all appreciate it, and it means a lot, brother. Let's test some motors. We are going to dive straight into Walksnail because I want to do a Walksnail mirror flip. We haven't done a Walksnail mirror flip yet, and that's just silly. Uh, for anybody that wants to learn more, and or for anybody that is struggling with mental health stuff, first and foremost, as men, we are allowed to talk about it. It is not weakness. It is a chemical disorder. It is a chemical imbalance, not disorder, in your brain that you cannot help. You were born with it, or a traumatic situation occurred that turned it on. It is not weakness. Weakness is not talking about it and then doing something that negatively affects every single person that you've ever met, and makes their lives markedly worse because you couldn't get your shit together and figure it out. That's a pretty harsh way of saying it, but a lot of people need that harsh reality. It is all of our responsibilities to get that shit worked out and not punish other people in our lives. And there are loads of resources out there. If you're not going to do anything, if you're only willing to do one thing, for those of us in our generation and those of us that are kind of like gamer geeks, Healthy Gamer GG is in the chat. I spelled it wrong. Do me a favor, somebody drop a link to Dr. K's YouTube channel in the chat for me. Healthy Gamer GG is a YouTube channel where you will learn more about how your brain works, and you will feel more understood and accepted than you maybe ever have. And it will open your eyes to what therapy can do, and will do for you if you're actually just willing to do it and just take an interest in living a happier life. It's unbelievable that it is so difficult to convince yourself to lead a less miserable life, but boy oh boy does depression do an excellent job of making sure that you don't. So fuck that. Don't let it do that to you. Fight that shit and do something. Check out Healthy Gamer here on YouTube. He's also on Twitch, but he's got loads of good stuff here on YouTube that will change your actual life and potentially save your life. Talk therapy, though, is the answer. Talk therapy is where you want to be down the road. It is the way to learn about your very unique set of trauma, brain chemistry, just the way that you were raised, all the things. And so, yeah, if you want to be a more awake human being on the planet that has a better experience in the time that you've got left, welcome to the game, my friend. You're going to have to do a little bit of work. They can prescribe medications. That's kind of the easy button. For some people, they work. Side effects are pretty nasty for a lot of people, myself included, so they're not a good option. But for some people, they're a fucking miracle, and it's easy, and it's covered under healthcare, and you just, away you go. So, yeah, a lot of different things that can help, but you got to show up. You got to do something. You got to go to a psychiatrist. You got to go to a talk therapist. You got to spend a couple of dollars, spend a few hours, and do something. Flying FPV is not enough. I know, like, when people say that FPV is their therapy, I'm very quick to say, like, I get that you love flying FPV, but FPV is not therapy. FPV is something fun that can maybe take your mind off shit, but it's not going to fix a goddamn thing, and it might make shit worse because it's just distracting you from the actual problems. Therapy is therapy. FPV is fun, and it's an escape, and it's great, but it's not going to fix anything. It's just going to take your mind off of it. So, yeah, do something, friends. Even if you don't think that you've got it going on, spend $25, $30, $40, whatever the copay is. Go talk to a talk therapist and just say, like, hey, I don't think I have depression, but this gangly fucker on the internet was like, yo, spend a couple of dollars. Let me put it this way. I pay $150 a session because I don't have health insurance. My talk therapist doesn't take health insurance anyway, but I spend $150 a session, and I will do that for the rest of my life. All right, if you have health insurance and it's $20, $30, $40 for you to go to a talk therapist, you want to feel better about the amount of money that comes out of your check every month for health insurance, go to a fucking talk therapist and get $150 worth of value for 20, 30 bucks. And just talk to them and say, yo, I don't know if I really need this. You tell me. Here's what's going on. Here's some weird shit in my brain that I'm thinking. They can't tell anyone. Like, legally, they cannot tell anyone. You can go in there and tell them that you fantasize about murdering kittens all day, every day. They can't tell anyone about that. If you tell them you fantasize about murdering humans, they can. But, like, you can tell them all the deepest, darkest shit. They only if they think, like, if you go in there and say, like, hey, I've been planning to murder my wife for the last month and I'm gonna go do it tomorrow, they're gonna do something. But, like, if you just tell them that, like, hey, every once in a while, like, I just have this weird thought about, like, stabbing someone, there's not gonna be a straitjacket involved right away. They're gonna be like, well, it's pretty normal, believe it or not. Play a lot of Grand Theft Auto? Probably not gonna say that, but yeah, they will only rat you out if there's, like, an imminent thing, like, that they're worried about you doing something. Yeah, they probably won't rat you out. They typically don't. Go talk to somebody, yo. Go do it. What the fuck? Why not? Get something out of the health insurance that you're paying for, right? And maybe they'll say, like, hey, you're totally normal, but here's one tip. And maybe that one tip that they give you will completely change your life. That's what they do. Like, are you good at your job? They're good at their jobs. They had to go to fucking medical school. Imagine what a pain in the ass that is. Imagine how much they learned. They're good at their job. Let them help you. There you go. There's my mental health spiel for the night. Usually I don't hit you guys that hard with it, but sometimes you need to be hit over the head with it. And that's not like you being a jackass. That's just, you know, nobody wants to admit that they're anything other than perfect, right? Like, oh, what if I'm broken? Oh, what if I'm broken? What if you're broken? What are you going to do about it? Like, ooh, you're broken. Oh, well, that sucks. Guess what? Lots of people are broken. Let's all hang out together as broken people and figure out how to get through this shit and with some semblance of happiness. You know? Let's get it. I have the white balance set to oh, it's in Wi-Fi mode. I have the white balance set for the RC drift car place. So it's going to look a little blue in here, but I also do have the lights set a little bit differently. I was wondering if my narrow ass was in there. Oh well. Where'd it go? There it is. All right. Let's get this mirror flip going real quick. So give this VTX a chance to chill out. Mirror flip in 3, 2, 1. Oh! I flew too close to the sun, or the mirror in this case. Let's try it again. Mirror flip in 3, 2, 1. Oh no! They look really cool when you do them really close. But let's just get one. We don't have to do it that close. Oh wow, it's not as good on this rig as the analog rigs. Hold on. Try to get centered up a little bit more. That was a pretty good one. Man, they really get so much better when you're really close to the mirror. Oh, that was a good one. With a hard landing. Alright, here we go. So, this is the Walksnail 75mm freestyle rig with the 0802 27,000 kV IGAO motors. My god, is this thing fatty Fatterson. What? Why are you... I don't have any of the gates, the ground gates set up. Let me turn the OSD back on. Yeah, I'm not... Oh boy, yeah, it really lacks power. it's gonna feel heavy. A 75 millimeter rig is gonna feel heavy no matter what, especially when you're flying it in the house. The house is not the place for these 75 millimeter rigs. These are, you need to get these on a jungle gym. That's the move. Got to get these things outside. That's where they really shine. This battery's about done. And what we're doing here, what we've been doing over the past couple of weeks, is just try to figure out a powertrain and a powertrain that's got the power and the response time, a frame that's got the strength and the lightweight, and that takes time. You got to try a bunch of different motors for that. We're gonna put, well, you guys have seen me fly this thing a bunch, so we're actually gonna move it to the other frame with the different motors right now. I've flown this a bunch. I'm going to play some of the flight footage from the drift place right now, and I'm going to talk over it. So it should be the last couple of files here. So, yeah. Bob Noxious says no video for us. What the hell? That's the... Damn it. Sorry, guys. This cable is just kind of dying. This HDMI to USB cable. This is the third one. The first one died pretty quickly. The second one didn't work at all. This one worked for a little while, but it's slowly dying on me, which makes me very sad. Okay, so hold on. Is this the... Are there really no props in view with this? Hold on. No. Okay, yeah. Here we go. 028. Okay. So 028, 027. Here are a couple files. There should be a little bit of duct in view at the bottom there. Yeah, there it is. So this is that same rig I was just flying, but at the attempting to chase these little RC drifts cars around. This was difficult. Like, you're going to notice way more crashes than normal in this setting. And just like an inability to get down really low. I was also trying to make like a couple Instagram clip worthy, what the hell, approaches. What? Come on. Why? Okay. That's really obnoxious. While that's going, I'm gonna move this from one frame to the other. The other frame has the 1002s in it. So yeah, I mean, there are some times that I'm able to drop down nice and low and comfortably cruise with these guys, but the problem with the heavier builds, of which 75 millimeter is always going to be heavier than 65, is that trying to maintain that low altitude becomes super difficult. When I make a change to the throttle to try to change my elevation, the heavier the rig is, the slower that's going to happen, unless you have loads of power. But then the problem with having loads of power is it's going to make it, you're going to overreact, and it's going to have a tendency to jump up in the air. What we really want for the most accurate possible chase is to be as light as we can be, because that's going to allow us to both increase altitude and come back down and decrease altitude that much quicker with as little, with the least amount of power. It's just trying to find a combo that also then has good runtime. That is the really challenging part. And that's what I'm kind of running into here. You know, I have this carbon framed 65 millimeter chase rig that you were watching at the beginning of the live stream, and I'll play some clips when these two are done so you can see the difference. And it's phenomenal in terms of flight performance, but I'm very lucky if I get to 2 minutes with that. And I would really rather get like 2.5 to 3 minutes for like cinematic-ish type stuff. And so I went down this 75 millimeter rabbit hole to try to get that extra runtime, but very, very, very quickly I've realized that it just the flight performance just goes to hell, and it's just too heavy of a rig. And quite frankly, I'm just not a good enough pilot to get the most out of it. A much better pilot would probably have a better time with this. But at the same time, if you put the lighter weight rig in the hands with the better pilot, their footage would be even better yet. There's a right tool for the job, and this heavyweight rigs are commonly not the right tool for the job, unless the job is having a lot of mass to throw over like buildings and stuff, right? Like 800-gram 5-inch rigs with massively powerful motors are really good for this like otherworldly freestyle where off throttle they just carry and carry and carry and carry, and you can like power loop a baseball stadium with them off throttle because they've got so much mass and so much weight, right? Chasing objects that quickly change directions, weight is the absolute enemy. And like bigger props and shit like that, it does not help nearly as much as dropping the weight. And yeah, I've been on like an almost year-long learning curve with that. It's been almost a year that I've been chasing these little RC drift cars. And like these are drift cars, right? Like drift cars really don't change direction very fast, but they're touching the ground, and anything that touches the ground is going to change directions a lot faster than us floating in the loose ass air. So yeah, we have our work cut out for us chasing ground-based stuff. All right, so that's the 75mm rig. For some contrast, here is what the 65mm chase rig looks like. The difference will be very easy to see. Is this still in half speed? Now let me go back up to regular speed. So this is the goggle footage. This is the footage off of the Walksnail V1 goggles. Not the Goggles X, although it would probably be the same. It's just 1080. Is it 1080-60 or is it 1080-30? It's 1080-30. Yeah, because there's some jutteriness. What's cool, though, is that the Walksnail VTXs capture 1080-60, which was amazing. That's what I was playing at the beginning of the live stream in half speed, and you didn't have any juttering because of the extra frames. So yeah, like what you'll notice here is an ability to drop down lower more accurately and just like hang out on these guys' doors rather than like looking down on them all the time. And that's what I want. Like I've become completely obsessed with chasing these little RC drift cars in the exact same way that I've chased full-scale cars time and time again. And like it's just this really cool, like you forget the scale. Like when I'm doing this almost every week, I really forget that they're like little RC cars, and it's just I'm just chasing drift cars, and it's the coolest thing ever. It's just so incredibly fun. Ground-based RC cars are way more popular than FPV, so there's a group somewhere near you doing this, like right now. You need to find them, friends. This is some of the most challenging, most fun flying that you will ever get. This is so much harder than chasing. You see the VTX about to brown out there? This is so much more difficult to do really well than chasing full-size drift cars. I have chased full-size drift cars 5 or 6 times, each time like 30-40 batteries. And like it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but these little RC cars being so low to the ground, you are just constantly in ground effect, and that makes the elevation control really, really, really difficult. And so yeah, like the you can fly 1,000 batteries chasing these little guys, and you'll still be barely, like, you'll still be getting better on the 1,000th battery, and you'll get a lot better on the 1,000th battery, and a lot better on the 1,001st battery. It is so challenging, but so rewarding when you get it right. My God, when you like lock in on one of these guys, like right now, and get like this perfect 4-car drift, back the fuck up, keep these two guys in frame, and then like an idiot smash into the A90 Supra. You just feel like a fucking hero, man. It is really, 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 really fun. I have swapped the frames. I'm going to let this play for another second here. And we will put this thing back up in the air. There you go, yo. The big bright lights inside the car. Green means they're on the throttle. Red means they're on the brake. Blue means they're freewheeling. There's 2 cars that have those in-car lights. See them? The red, blue, green, red, blue, green, red. So there you go. Okay. Let me get this thing into Betaflight, get the motor spin in the right direction, and we will put it back up in the air. And then we are going to quickly test. I am officially into Bot Grinder's slot. Go over and get you some Bot Grinder. This is his time, not mine. If you choose to stay, that's fine. But, yeah, raid Bot Grinder. I'm intruding on his time slot at this point. All right, and I'm just going to put a little piece of electric tape on this battery to keep it from wobbling around. The Mobula 7V4 frame, these batteries fit a little bit looser in. Okay. Oops, shit. Hold on, I need to plug this thing in. Ow! Now I need to take that E-tape off. All right, let's get these motors spinning right. Here we go, and connect, and murders. 4.4.3, hopefully it doesn't freak out and try to kill me. Motor direction, wizard. Yes! Motor 1 is wrong. Reverse it. Motor 2 is right. Motor 4 is wrong. Motor 3 should be right. Yeah, it is. Motor 1, are you now right? You are now right. Motor 4, are you now right? You are now right. Stop motors. Close. I understand the risks. Double check. Motor 1 correct. Motor 2 correct. Motor 3 correct. Motor 4 correct. Good to go. All right. And are the props on correct? Correct. All right, good. Here we go. And I'm not going to do a 4-hour stream like I did yesterday. I want to hang out with Maggie tonight. It's date night, yo. But I am going to put these other 2 rigs at least up in the air so that I didn't completely lie in the description of the live stream. Here we go. VRX and goggles on. I'm super bummed that this cable is dying. That's very frustrating. There's not a whole lot I can do about it, though.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Let's give it a second here. It's starting to come up. And so this is the exact same build, but on 1002 23,500 kV motors with the Gemfan 1608 tri-blades. The reason I have it on these tri-blades is to try to get the thrust out of it, since it's a lower kV motor, 23,500 versus 27,000 kV on the 802s. And ELRS is not linking up. Please bind. There it goes. All right. Hopefully you guys don't lose video like you did last time. Oh my god. It's just, I mean, it is heavier because 1002s are heavier than 802s, but it feels so much heavier. Hold on. Ooh, that was a funny one. Oh god. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, these 1002s are not the answer. I mean, like, I will fly it outside and we'll see. But, like, you see that? Like, see how much? Oh, God. Yeah. These 1002s are not, they're not it. Oh my God, really? The cymbal stand got me? Fuck off. Here's Ray's other book, ready? There it is. Oh God. I just have to sit on the throttle, and like the pid loop performance is also not great. Just because the thing's so heavy and it just doesn't have the power to really back it up. Man, it is so difficult to fly these heavier rigs in here. I mean, these motors make some power. Like, don't get me wrong, they make good power, just not enough. They just don't make enough. The tri-blades definitely helped. Oh boy. The tri-blades definitely helped, but just not enough. Oh my God, really? So... Oh my God, it took so much throttle to do that. So yeah, we're going to be putting this in a Meteor 75 Pro frame. I am going to fly this outside for sure. But this is going to go into a Meteor 75 Pro frame to try to get the more thrust out of the bigger props. You know, these two motors that we've run on this rig tonight are the most powerful 1S motors that we've got that are going to be durable. And when I say are going to be durable, what I mean is that they have the 1.5 millimeter motor shaft above the bell. So yeah, like these are it. Like these are the motors. We have to figure out a way to get. We don't have to, but I'm gonna try my best to figure out a way to get more power out of these motors. And basically, like, if the motor can't change and you need more power, it's gonna be either a voltage change. We're not doing that because that would grossly blow up the weight of this rig. It's gonna have to be propellers, right? Propellers are like the thing that you can change to try to get more power. And going to a bigger propeller is really nice because you get both more power and in a lot of cases more efficiency as well. So yeah, that is what we're gonna do next. If this wasn't such a massive hair, I would just ignore it, but it's a big old hair that just refuses to come out. I need to replace these pliers. Oh, because it's all wrapped up in there. There we go. For the most part, these brushless motors really don't care about hair because of the way the stators are, but it just drives me insane. It just looks silly. And it doesn't take very long to get it out of there. Clean rigs, yo. Clean rigs, happy life. We're going to fly the baseline Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop, which is on the 702 32,000s. I'm going to fly it on this battery that I put a red X on, which means that I over-discharged it and it might be broken. I need to switch this out from HD to analog. There we go. And I'm going to need to switch out the module here. And my goggles, this AIO is on its last leg, and it does this weird thing until I arm it, and then magically it is fine. I don't get it, but that's okay. I don't have to understand everything. All right, here we go. Analog Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop 0702 32,000s. This is what a Tiny Whoop should fly like. That was me being jittery, by the way. Oh my god! I always have to readjust to these because they just have so much power. Okay. Well. Oh my god! Give me a second. We'll get there. There we got it. Shit. Oh my god! I forgot to like blip the throttle. That was very weird. Whew! Goodness. The way that it just stops is magic. Ah! Crash prevention turned on. I expected it to be thrusting backwards. Crash prevention turned on. And it was thrusting straight up. So the throttle blip that I gave it just smashed it into the ceiling. Oh, I was trying to do something really weird. Easy. The dive tunnel is just so goddamn difficult. Ah! No. Don't eat the quad. No. Please. Please. Thank you. Oh, I tried the mega power loop and just failed miserably. Oh, God! I don't think it's coming out of there. Where even is it? What am I looking at? I think it's stuck behind the little space heater. No, it was just sitting right there. That could have easily come out. I have no idea why it wouldn't come out. That's maddening. There we go. Mirror flip. Let's get a better one than that. Come on now. Oh, I slowed that one down for you guys. That was extra hot. It was just so cool looking down, you know? Figured I would just leave it there. Ah! Oh, please. I went through those gates just now, by the way. Ah. Look at the runtime too, by the way, guys. Like, and this is a battery that I felt might be hurt. No! Oh, come on. I'm a little bit behind tonight. Everything is kind of behind. Oh, almost got through the second one. This battery's done. Well, this battery flew fine, though. We're a little over 3 minutes. That's where I always want to be. So there you go. There's your benchmark, 702, 32,000 kV. Now we're going to go to these prototype 603 motors on the GemFan biblade. So we're going from 702, 32,000 kV to 603, 30,000 kV. So we're going to lose a little bit of power, but we're going to lose RPM, but we're going to gain response time because the 603 stator size has a little bit more raw stator volume, but it also has more stator height, and stator height produces more power than stator width. And this AIO, I have the individual motor RPMs turned on in the in the OSD on the right there, which is kind of funny to watch. Fuck you. Ah! That's not going to be recoverable, I'll bet. Hey, it was. Oh god, oh boy, easy. Slow down. Slow! God damn, that fucking boom cymbal stand has gotten me like 14 times tonight. This is so hard to fucking fly in here sometimes. Hey. Oh my god, why me? Why me? Not a good flying day. Some days I fly good, and then there's today. No! No! Why? Why do it to me every single time? Oh! I went out the side. That wasn't the plan, but that's okay. Oh, that goddamn... Oh, that's a hell of a slam. Oh, come on! Why? Fuck you, everything. Oh my god. Oh! And then I just smash it into the chair. Why? Why? I demand to know why. Oh! Oh my god. Really? The room is like 40 feet long and there's one wire that's like a millimeter thick, and that's what I hit. Oh, you son of a bitch. Battery's done! Like I said earlier, we're gonna have an entire live stream that we dive into the new HQ ultralight tri-blades. I was hoping to do it tonight, but we've run out of time. So we're going to do this Sunday or Monday. Probably not Monday. Maybe Sunday. Maybe. Maybe Whoop Wednesday. That's where we'll leave it for tonight. I want to go hang with my family. Hold on now. Hold on. There are a lot of questions in chat. Questions in chat. Prop Junkie says, how important is that little piece of foam between the camera and the AIO and the Mobula 6? If you use the Mobula 6 canopy, it's not that important. If you use a 3D printed canopy, it's super important. Blizzard FPV says, I have $30 of props in the cart and $30 of shipping. Morton Upshot says, to use the coupon code, I need to find the frame, put it in my cart, or will it pick it for me? Yep, you got to find the frame, put it in your cart. You got to pick the color. So yeah. Matteo says, isn't that CBT therapy? CBT stands for CBT stands for cognitive behavioral therapy. It is one of them. There are many more. There's DBT. There's DBT being dialectic or dialectical. I forget. Behavioral therapy. Don't worry about that stuff, though. Just go talk to somebody and that's their job. It's their job to figure that all out. Man, I made a mess over here. I crashed into the desk, I guess. And stuff just went everywhere. Yeah, let them handle that. Go. I'm telling you, go talk to somebody. Take their advice. They've worked really hard to get good at it, and they are very good at what they do. It's incredible. They will change your life. And look at it this way too. No talk therapist has ever made anyone's life worse. All right. So worst case scenario, you're gonna get nothing, but you're gonna get something. Ugelin says, "What are your favorite 2.4 ELRS AIOs for a 65 millimeter rig? The HappyModel F4 2G4 appears to be sold out everywhere at the moment." That's the only one, Ugelin. Every single other one makes me want to chop my head off and eat donkeys. The only other one I've had any decent luck with is the Beta FPV Cross, but then you've got to run an external VTX, which sucks. So yeah, the Hummingbird V3 is pretty good, but I'm starting to get worried about the durability of them, and the video quality is not the best. So yeah, I would literally buy a Mobula 6 ELRS just to get the AIO. So that's what I'm gonna recommend. And you're gonna get the camera and the canopy. HDMI connection, got it. Gangly booty, got it. Black screen, got it. No video. Kevin Summers, black screen. Z-Bear says, my Mobula 6 got wiped when the battery voltage went too low. That's so annoying. Took time to correct. Along the way, learned about BL Heli and Blue Jay. Can you explain differences when using one versus the other? Does it matter? I can't explain the differences, but what I can tell you is that Blue Jay is better in every single way. The best version of Blue Jay is 0.16. Search my channel for Blue Jay, and there's a video explaining why and showing you where to get the 1.6 hexes or the 0.16 hexes from. If you can't get Blue Jay 0.16, do 0.17, which is in the configurator. There is no reason to run BL Heli. There's nothing about it that's better than Blue Jay. So yeah, if you're not running Blue Jay, there's just performance being left on the table for no reason. Ramdongo says, good evening, good health. Zach says, can you discuss pointers on chasing drift cars or RC drift cars? With RC drift cars, the biggest thing is dialing in your throttle expo. You are in ground effect the entire time, which makes life a nightmare. And so getting as much throttle expo as possible and getting the midpoint perfect is super important. I've talked about it a million times. Use the search on my channel. It'll find it in the time codes. And yeah, I've talked about it in depth. If you still can't figure it out, ask me on the next live stream. We'll dive into it. Asparagus says, rookie here. I'm about to get my first ever drone Mobula 7 in the mail. Just wanted to say thank you for keeping the hobby interesting for me while I couldn't fly the real thing. You're certainly welcome, Asparagus. Thanks for coming and hanging out. McBuka says, you still flying props out. Have a good weekend. I am indeed. Upside says, man in the mirror. Unlucky Snubber says, have someone wind up at 803. The problem is a lack of 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. We would need someone to make a brand new motor. And that's an awful lot to ask. Brad Monin says, why is it that we charge to 4.35, but when you plug in the goggles say 4.2 to 4.25? Just because as soon as you plug it in, there's things asking the battery for juice. And so it sags the battery down, especially on the walk snail rigs. Brad Monin got that. Z-Bear says, thanks, dude. You're welcome. Thanks for hanging, friends. I love you all. Be good. I'll see you again on Sunday. Have a wonderful weekend. Go get you some bot grinder. My apologies to him for bleeding over. But at least I tell you guys, like, hey, stop watching me and go over there. I'm going to play some more 1080-60 flight footage from yesterday. And I'll play it in half speed because it's just the most insane thing ever that we've got a 6-gram 1080p camera that records in 60 frames. I'm just staggered that this technology exists in my lifetime. 50% speed. Let's get a little jam here. And what do we got? No, that sucks. Oh, this works. This will work. See you Sunday, friends. I love you. Bye. CiottiFPV.com to support me. I need your support. You literally allow this to happen. Hook a brother up. Do some stuff. Love you. Bye.